joining me, Matt. Can you please let people know what you do and how long you've been working in the education sector for?
Well, good afternoon, James. Delighted to be here, first of all. How long have I been working in the education sector? Well, I had to get my sort of abacus out because it's been a while. Counted up 28 years all in all, of which, of those 28 years, 17 have been with a direct responsibility within the estates function across the education sector. And within that 17 years, 4 years as working as a consultant, supporting other trusts, whilst also working as a director of estates within a multi-academy trust. And then more recently, 18 months having left the public sector to step across to work as a private consultant working for a company called Barker and Associates.
I think you're uniquely placed actually at the moment in the sector, that you've gone from client side to consultancy side. And I guess it will lead on to Dave Wood's question in a minute that he asked you from Morgan Sindall. But in terms of from your perspective, what's been the key learning points and sort of differences between working in a multi-academy trust and then kind of going in and actually advising and helping those clients on their journey to net zero and other things they're doing?
Well, I think when you're in the multi-academy trust and you've got an established team, you've worked hard to put the strategic measures in place. You've got an established rhythm and tempo across the calendar year. You've got the assurance processes in place. It's to go back in the old days, it's almost that cigar moment where you can. It's all the plan has been worked out, and we're now just working the plan. So stepping outside of that to come across to the other side, the first thing I realized was that whilst all multi-academy trusts are pretty much governed by the same articles of association, their legal agreements, etc., every single one of them interprets those slightly different. So what you think is a consistent and coherent sector, every trust operates in a slightly different way. They have different sort of policies and procedures in the minutiae. So it's navigating that has been a really interesting experience. But I think the most pleasing experience since leaving and now supporting across the sector is the opportunity to go and work with established trusts, but also the new starters and the newly formed organisations, and sharing with them those years of experience of the journey that I went through with teams, and so they don't have to suffer the same sort of bruises and can accelerate to a better place faster. Has been a real I think a strong asset of the service delivery that we've provided from across the Barker staff branch.
And I think that's a lovely sort of way into the question that Dave Wood from Morgan Sindall's asked you. So Dave asks, from your perspective, what's the biggest challenge to decarbonise the education estate?
Well, we first started this sort of decarbonisation journey back in 2016, where Brook Western Trust were successful in a application to government for something that was known then as the Multi-Academy Trust Pilot Loan Scheme, where the pilot was for trusts to bid for loan funding to do something innovative, technology driven, with a remit to have a positive impact on the operations of their estate. And we decided to pursue investment in renewables and solar technology. Now, at the time, we were told, it's not sunny enough in the UK. What are you doing, Matt? 7 years on, the world has changed a bit. Perhaps the UK has got a lot more sunny. I don't know, but the technology is proven now. So the opportunity to start that decarbonisation journey, particularly from the physical estate side, is a proven route now. So in terms of the challenges, the proving of the concept is no longer required. The evidence is there to show that it has extremely positive impact in terms of those technical investments, whether they be solar PV, LED, control systems, etc., they have both a financial impact in terms of operational savings and efficiencies. They also have a positive impact in reducing the trusts or the organisation's demand from grid, and therefore you will also get that no-cost dividend of reduction in your carbon footprint as well. But in terms of the challenge to decarbonise the wider education estate, it's going to come down to cost. It's going to come, and that's directly linked to the financing and the funding opportunities that are out there, or the restrictions thereof. But it's also an awareness and the education level of the client side. So understanding about the impact that actually flooding your roof, your available roof space with as much PV as possible is actually not a wise commercial decision, because probably 50% of what you generate you'll export, and it will not give you a positive return on investment. So it's educating the client base to understand the opportunities, the limitations, and also where the commercial advantage lies. I think that's the biggest challenge that the sector faces if they're going to really step forward on the physical estate side. People we all know, people like Alex Green and Let's Go Zero campaign, are moving the indicator far right in terms of the rate of change from the occupiers' behaviours. So that's the curriculum, the learning, the students, the activities that they do. So I think it's a multi-pronged approach to decarbonise the estate. But the main lesson I think that the sector needs to learn from is, one, become an informed client. Two, you won't be able to do it on your own. It is a multi-agency approach, the physical estate, the financial arms, but also the occupation. So the students, the teachers and the support staff all working in partnership for that decarbonisation journey.
Thank you. I think that was a big question that Dave asked you there. And
Was
you did a
was it a big enough answer?
It was a really good answer. And for those who are interested to find out a little bit more, we had our recent Net Zero conference, and all those sessions were recorded and they're able to be streamed on demand via the website. So do go onto educationestates.com and look at the website. You'll be able to find those videos. So on to kind of more about sort of projects you've been involved in and a bit more about your kind of role. So sort of what recent projects are you most proud of, and why? So
as my role with Barker, I'm a client account manager, business developer, and I provide the sort of strategic estates consultancy for organisations. So in terms of something I'm most proud of was the delivery of the carbon reduction journey for one trust in particular. I won't mention their name, save their embarrassment, but the speed with which we have been able to deliver significant impact across that trust has been remarkable. So in less than a year, we have installed over 38 solar arrays across their estates. We've relamped all of their schools with LED. We're now starting on a program where we're addressing their heating and their heating control systems. The way that has been brought about has been one of the best collaborative relationships between client side and contractor side, consultant side I've ever experienced. There was a super strong mandate for action and clear leadership to address the sort of the political outcome of what their journey needed to look like. Their senior staff had given their estates director and the finance support staff the clear political will to get on and deliver. And in doing so, it kind of removed a lot of the bureaucracy that we see across any organisation that slows things down. They were able to operate at a scale and a pace and at a tempo that we were delighted to be involved with. It was a challenge, don't get me wrong, but the impact that we have delivered for that particular organisation has been remarkable. But that's also reflected across the sort of business more widely. Across the business over the last financial year, we installed 146 plus solar arrays on schools. It's 3 a week.
Wow.
We installed across the same period, on average, relamping 10 classrooms a day. So in terms of the sort of, the ability to operate at scale and pace, I think it is there, and it's with willing and engaging partners and clients that you're able to do that. So that's been something I've been most proud of in the team that have been involved in delivering that sort of impact.
And in terms of the partners you've been working with in the supply chain, is it one particular provider you've been working with, or has it been a number of them?
No. So over the years, on the decarbonisation renewables journey, working with a framework, the Everything FM framework, Barker have developed with the framework an ever increasing, robust, proven supply chain of highly competent contractors. They are now very aware of the restrictions and opportunities that working in an occupied school can present. As an example, we have promoted the opportunity for LED relamping to take place as a night shift. And we describe it to the client as it's the elves and the shoemaker, where the LED elves will come in at night and relamp a section of your school. In the morning, you'll come down as the shoemaker and see your school relamped. You'll be none the wiser. So it's sort of innovative practice, but it's also building case study whereby you can share those success stories with the client base so that they too can say, yeah, well, we can do that as well.
Thank you. And going on to sort of something about the sector now, in terms of the challenges that the education sector face, what do you think those are, in your opinion, kind of the biggest ones over the kind of coming sort of few years?
Well, I think it's one of consistency of message. There's been lots of sort of talk and chatter about the public sector decarbonisation scheme and how that funding was allocated, and it went from the quickest off the draw in terms of securing funding applications, etc., to a far more equitable way of securing those funding routes now. That's been a big positive. The sort of challenges on that side have been, it's always going to come down to the cost of making those physical investments, because I think in any industry there's never enough money to do what you need to do, let alone what you would want to do. So I think the opportunity to have consistency of message, whether that be from government policy or the more wider political and ethical sort of direction of travel, consistency of message is important, so people can hang their hat on that and make their forward plans.
And you've kind of touched already on a few kind of key bits in terms of innovative thinking, collaboration, other bits. So on the flip side of what the biggest challenges, what would you say probably are the biggest opportunities that the sector have over the kind of next few years?
Well, I think as a sector, it's the sector more widely. You've got mature universities at one end of the education estate sector. You've got a brand new nursery at the very other end, and there's everybody in between that. But where I think the sector has distinct advantage over perhaps other sectors is that it can act independently of one another, and therefore it brings agility. And as the client base, as the trusts, as the colleges, as the universities, and the schools become more sort of commercially aware and more and have better business intelligence about their estate, they're able to have business forecast. And if they can forecast forward in terms of what their spending plans might be, having certainty over future funding opportunities, having that opportunity to take a strategic approach to investment in their estate on the decarbonisation journey, as an example, gives them essentially a commercial advantage, which, when times are tight, that might be the difference between a project going ahead or actually a project being paused for further review and consideration.
No, thank you. And obviously you've been a key supporter of us over a number of years, helped shape the programme. a judge, and speaking as well. In terms of your opinion, what would your kind of former colleagues from the multi-academy trust community would do, others from the sector, of kind of get out of coming to Education Estates? What does Education Estates offer them as an event?
It offers you a direct point of contact with pioneers across the sector, and pioneers being those on the client side, so from university to nursery, pioneers and innovators across the contracting market and also the consulting sector as well. So you're going to get cutting edge thinking, you're going to get new practices, new models of behavior, etc. And that mixing pot is a phenomenal place for market innovation. So that actually, I think the outcome, if we could ever capture the sort of the main nuggets from the Education Estates conference, you're going to go away with some real gems to lead your organisation forward with in terms of your future strategy of how you're going to manage your property portfolio.
Thank you for those kind words. So moving on to you, in terms of the audience, if they don't know who Matt is, tell them something that they might not necessarily know about you, or someone that knows you really well, but they might want to know.
What they might like to know about me. Okay, so I'm really fortunate. I live in a beautiful part of the country. I live in rural Leicestershire, where we're surrounded by fields. Wake up in the morning to, depending on what time of year it is, either bleating sheep or crowing crows, etc. So it's a fantastic place to live, and nothing is more sort of relaxing than you come home from a day at work and you're met by your dogs, and regardless of the weather, you can be out there living the dream, strolling along with the wind blasting in your face and the rain howling down, but you're out there in nature, and it's a fantastic thing that I really, really enjoy, in just getting away from the desk, getting away from the car, getting away from the busyness of life, and just getting out there into the wilds and letting the wind and the rain lash your face, and on occasion the sun comes out as well.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, my next conversation is with Andrew Dutton from Arcadis. What question would you like me to ask Andrew during our conversation?
Well, Andrew and I have known each other for quite some time, and so asking him a question that I think would challenge him, but also one that would make him reflect on what goes on as well. So the sort of thing I'd ask you to ask Andrew is, there's been so much talk about new initiatives, new products, everything from the energy pods to heat pumps, etc. What thing would he like to see happen to unlock the sector, so that the sector can get on and start delivering rather than just talking about it?
I shall put that question to Andrew next week. Thank you so much for joining me, Matt, and have a lovely weekend, and see you soon.
Thank you, James.